Hello everyone, my name is Ninat. I study in class 3. Today I am going to talk to one of my favorite author called Pika Nani. Recently I read a book of her called The Egghead Detective Agency. This is the book. Hi auntie.
Hi, Ninad. So nice to see you. So, how did you like the book?
I like the book. I like their clues and all that.
Okay, did you try the solve it yourselves?
Little bit help with my mother.
Yeah, I know. The some purposely I made it slightly tougher. Some I think like the maze with that chicken and all was slightly easy, right?
Yeah.
Good. So, what do you want to know?
Uh, how did you get the idea of writing about Egghead?
Yeah, so actually I got it from children like you only. See, I wanted to write a detective story for slightly younger children because I'd written Sherlock Homeless and even younger children were reading it. So I thought, let me write something specifically like a chapter book. But then I thought there are so many, this detectives, small children detectives. What can I do to make it different? And then I remember that I had gone for these school visits where I'd met, especially the third, fourth standard children. And I just generally ask what kind of books you like to read and everything. And so they always, every time say they like to read ghost stories. Do you also like ghost stories?
This was like my first ghost story. I never read ghost stories before.
I don't know, that particular class was like that. And I have done some writing workshops also, creative writing, where almost all the stories the children wrote all had ghosts in it. So I jokingly said that, next time when I write a book, I'll make sure there's a ghost in it. So I just remembered this part that, oh, children like ghosts. How about I put a ghost detective in this, but not a very serious one, but someone who's funny and friendly. And that's how the idea of Egghead Detective Agency came. So with along with Tam and Ant, the sisters who are little detectives, there's also Egghead, who is the ghost of a famous detective.
Yeah, and I have a cousin sister whose name is Antara.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know children called Tamra also. So
Okay. My next question is Agatha Christie one of your favorite authors?
yes, yes. So she's one of my most favorite. Her, especially Poirot stories. I really love uh, her. I try to read almost all of her books, and what I like about her is, there is that good mystery in it without too much of violence. I don't like to read about too much violent things happening. So this is the kind of mystery which I like.
So did you get the idea about the book from Agatha Christie?
Ah, that's a good question. So, I wanted it to be someone bit like Poirot, but not exactly. See, Poirot, even Sherlock Holmes are basically serious detectives, right? They solve murder mysteries, they solve big crimes. Here, I wanted somebody who is a little bit, I can say, grandfatherly, so who can guide the children. And also, I wanted to make sure that there are certain crazy, silly scenes in the book. So I was wondering, like, what can I do for that? So then I got the idea from Uncle Fred from PG Wodehouse. So basically, PG Wodehouse writes all funny stories, all crazy things happening. So I thought, how about taking that craziness, that funny part of Uncle Fred, and trying to take a few characteristics of Poirot and then creating a detective. So he's like a combination of few people and also like the basic grandfatherly figure, as we say. So,
Yeah, that's true. Did you get the name of the book first or the story first?
for this particular book, actually, yeah, I got the name of the book first. But somehow, Egghead, it sounds like curious and funny at the same time. You say Egghead Detective Agency, your initial reaction is, oh, what is this? You want to find out more about it. So yeah, that's how I came up with the idea. The moment I thought that there's going to be a ghost in the story and two children, that's when I thought, okay, we'll call it Egghead Detective Agency.
Yeah, because that's a funny name.
Yeah.
And how did you choose your name, Pika Nani, as your pen name?
Yeah, so when I was even much younger than you, Nina, I used to write a lot of poems and stories. Do you like to write poems, stories,
No, I
No?
just like to read things like that.
Yeah, no, that's very good. I also used to read a lot, but I used to write all these little small poems. And Pika Nani was like a pen name I'd given myself when I was small. And that time, when I was like maybe even 10-year-old, my dream was to grow up and become a writer. That was my dream. But as I grew up, as children usually forget about their dreams, I forgot about it. I studied psychology. Then I did my master's in psychology, worked actually 8 years in various companies. And then when my daughter was born, I took a break. Then when I was thinking of doing something again, I wasn't sure what to do, like what is it I really want to do. Then somehow, it's almost like this child in me said that, oh, you wanted to be a writer when you were small, how about you give that a try. So first I wasn't very sure that, can I actually write. So I thought I'll give myself 6 months to write my first book. If I can't, then I'll again start looking for a job. So but in those 6 months, there were times when I was, not free. I was thinking, what am I doing? Am I wasting my time and all that? That's when I thought, no, what I actually need is a pen name so that I can focus on that, like, and be just a writer. So that's how then I wrote my first book was Little Indian. So I typed out the title. Then typed out Pika Nani below it. So every day when I start writing, I would type the story. Every day I would see that page. I would see the title of the book, and I would see my name below it. That my name means the name of the child who wanted to be a writer. And I would say, no, I can't give up on this. And that's how I ended up writing the whole book. And so I thought, yeah, because that's why I continued with Pika Nani, because that's what was, for me, it's always Pika Nani is a child who grew up to be a writer.
The next question is, when did you start writing?
Yeah, I think so. Actual serious, my first book I started writing in 2010. Otherwise, I used to write poems, short stories, everything as a child. 2010, I started writing my first book, Little Indians. 2013, I think I finished. To turn 13, no, before 2012 or something, I finished. And 2013, it was published. Tulika published. And since then, I've been writing. I wrote two picture books after that, and then the Srilok Homeless.
Yeah, I started reading that book now only.
Oh, is it okay? The first book.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. So that is set in Mumbai, and I grew up in Mumbai. So that is about the place which I grew up in. And Egghead is in Bangalore, where I live now. So
Yeah, and I liked it because it was in Bangalore, and I also live in one apartment.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted it to be like, a general apartment where everybody's can identify with that apartment, and like, do some crazy things happen in your apartment also? Has any adventure happened anytime? No, because I remember when we were kids, my neighbor got robbed, and I was at home that time, and I didn't hear anything. So, but some adventure would keep happening. Not on the level of Egghead probably, but some small things keep happening, right?
Yeah, that's true. And how did you get your first book published?
Oh, so if anybody out there wants to publish their first book, let me tell you, you have to be very strong, because you will get rejection. You will send to somebody, then they'll say, sorry, we can't publish. So it had happened. I sent it to quite a few people and quite a few publishers and all. Then finally, it was just, I think, the timing was right. I sent to Tulika, and they were usually, they publish picture books, but they were thinking of, they told me this later, that we were thinking of getting, publishing a book about India. And my manuscript reached them. They were happy, so they said fine. So then, actually, even to get a reply, to almost 8 months, I kept trying various places. Finally, Tulika accepted. So I think you need a lot of patience and to keep trying.
I have heard this in Ruskin Bond lots of times.
Yeah, I know many. I know even I've heard of Ruskin Bond's original, right? I mean, there's anybody new, right? Because new author, they'll always be doubtful, but you should not give up your confidence.
Yeah. Why do you write books for only children? Do you write for grown-ups also?
So see, I write for children because I like reading children's books only more. Now let's say about detective stories, right? Even I like Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie stories and all that. As I told you, because they have less violence. So adult books also somehow I feel they're more darker, right? More serious themes.
Yeah.
And children's books also, they can deal with complex themes and whatever, but I think there's always a factor of hope, that everything will be all right in the end, or there's some lesson to be learned and then everything will be okay. I think that's what we are trying to say. So somehow I've always wanted to be a children's writer. I don't know if I will write for adults ever. Maybe someday, I'm not saying never, but I like the idea of writing for children because there are, first of all, you can write on various themes, it's not just one, and then there's always that factor of hope, which is why I think I write for children.
Have you always liked books from childhood?
Yeah, like Ninad, like you said you love reading books, right? So even I used to love reading books. So you are you a library member or anything?
No, but I'm not really thing.
But you buy books.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the. My mother
Yeah.
buys me 1,000 books.
Good. So when we were kids, our parents wouldn't buy so many books. So we would be having some membership to a library. So what we do, we'd go there, especially in summer, every day we'd get one book, read it in that one day, again go next day, read one more book. So like that, we used to read a lot of books, especially when we were kids, they were all at Enid Blyton's, all foreign authors. Only I think Ruskin Bond, we would read a little bit. There were not that many Indian authors also. So we would read about all these different countries and, those especially, I think, Enid Blyton wrote about England. So we would read about those places and we say, oh, why such things are not happening in India? Like they would all go for picnics and they would have this high tea and all that. So what I really like now is, you have so many Indian authors. So you can think Indian children can relate to that. It's something that's happening in your own neighborhood, not happening so far away. But still reading about all those books is, I think, when I started dreaming of being a writer. So in a way, and also I always feel if you want to be a writer, you have to read a lot. If anybody wants to take up writing, you have to be a reader.
What kind of books do you like to read? Tell me some books that you like to read again and again.
So yeah, other than obviously the mystery books, was what I said was Sherlock Holmes and Poirot. I also like Jane Austen's book, Pride and Prejudice. All those older than even comedy books like Three Men in a Boat. So I'm also a big fan of R.K. Narayan. So his Malgudi Days, Swami and Friends. All those books, sometimes I like to read it again.
Recently I just read a book about R.K. Narayan from one author.
Oh, really? Have you read Swami and Friends?
No, my mother wants to buy that for me.
Yeah, it's nice. It is set in, I think, by the 60s or something, but it's very nice. It's about these small young boys who form a cricket team and all. So those are books I can read again and again also.
What else do you like other than books?
I love to travel. So like to go on holiday and everything. I love eating good food. And I used to do art a little bit, paintings and all, though now recently have not for a long time. But and rather than do some of these coloring books. So those are some of my other hobbies that I have. And obviously other things, and I like watching TV and also.
Where did you grow up? Are your parents or someone in family writers? Did you study to be a writer?
Yeah, that's a good question, Inat. So I grew up in Bombay, as I told, and actually my father used to write poems and even play. Play means a drama in Kannada. And so he had written a play in Kannada, which got staged in Delhi, Bombay, then recently in Bangalore also. So he was like the writer of the family. Maybe because he used to write poems and all, I also started writing poems in English, though, obviously, because since I grew up in Maharashtra, I didn't study Kannada, so I was writing in English. So everybody used to tell that, oh, you're following your father's footsteps. So even my first book published also, they said, oh, there's another author in the family. But I didn't study to be a writer. So I had taken literature and psychology both, when during degree. But finally, I chose psychology. So I did my master's in psychology. But I still feel, having studied psychology has also helped me, because it helps me understand the characters that I'm creating. Right? It's psychology is all about trying to understand people. So I think in a way that has also helped me. So I didn't study literature, I studied psychology. And I think then what I've studied about writing, is all whatever I've got from reading other authors. So just by reading books, I've learned.
Yeah, and my next question is, what is your next book going to be?
Oh, so that actually, like how people have summer vacation. Once my book gets over, this is like my summer vacation. I haven't started writing, but next I would like to start on Egghead 2. You see, in Egghead book 1, we have ended the armchair mystery incomplete, right? So we have left that as a question mark, that will the solved. So in book 2, in Egghead book 2, along with that mystery, there'll be a lot of new fun cases which would happen.
Thank you to spend time with me.
Thank you so much, Ninad. And such a, it's me such a great time to talk to you. The way you have asked questions is like some professional you have asked. Really, I mean, it's amazing. And also, I'm so happy to see readers like you, because see, authors can write books, but we can continue writing only if there are readers, right? Like you. So all I can say is continue reading. Whatever you choose to do in your life, reading will always help you. And it'll always be one way to relax also. So even if you're busy, whatever it is, and you can take a break and read, it'll relax your mind. So thank you so much for being a little reader. Thank you so much for, talking to me today.
Bye.
Bye.